Greetings, what is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. M to the Magpie here, coming at you with a live 1 versus 1 battle, fresh from the ladder. Featuring a spawning in the east, it is going to be the Overcommand West forces of PanzerGrenadierAngeifen. Or Angeifen, I guess, to pronounce it properly. I always get that wrong. And spawning in the west, playing as the Soviet forces, it is going to be Yoker, who's got some funky symbols in his name as well. So PanzerGrenadierAngeifen, is a player who I've cast many times on the channel now. Always a good one to watch. Oh, whoa, we're at 2 times speed. Let's slow that down. My bad. Always a good one to watch. Lots of interesting plays from him, and I find it's always good to cast multiple games from one player, because then you can see the learning process of that player kind of, before you, and there's an interesting insight that you just don't get if you cast just one game. So because PanzerGrenadierAngeifen is very often playing on the ladder, and because he's also reasonably highly leveled as a player, or reasonably high level, I should say, as a player. Yeah, it's just interesting to catch his games, and his was the top-rated live game on the lobby just now, and so I thought I'd hop in and cast. A bit of a bad fight being taken here. These Storm Pioneers trying to take a fight up against point-blank conscripts in a building with supporting conscripts here. That is rough. Losing to Storm Pioneers straight away is kind of rough there. I mean, look at the amount of veterancy Storm Pioneers feed onto these squads, There's that much on this squad. Nearly half a level on this squad, and that's just from losing one Storm Pioneer, I should say. Sorry, not Volks Grenadier, Storm Pioneer. So yeah, you've got to be so careful with the Storm Pioneers. Yes, they have good DPS, but they are also your opponent's best opportunity for getting veterancy off you as an OKW player. So you've just got to be careful. I mean, they're also not cheap as well. Like, it represents good damage. Every shot that hits your Storm Pioneers represents like the kind of damage and the kind of resource loss and the kind of veterancy gains that you really only expect to see with any other faction from the sort of mid and late game onward. So, it's small things, but small things can make big differences. So that's why I'm talking about them. Anyway, we've got a Strudelwagen out on the field. That's just capping right now, and I imagine we're going to see that one pushing up as soon as it's done. There we go. We got also up to 2 squads of Volks now for PGA. Nothing too unusual there. For a Yoker, looks like he's going for a pure conscript strat here. Let's just take a look here, see if we've got any tech on the way. So, yeah, he's already got anti-vehicle grenades. Holy spoons, that was quick. So, looks like that Kubelwagen is probably not going to be long for this world. But they seldom are, so that's fine. So yeah, early AT rifle grenade research. I mean, he must have heard, or maybe he's seen the Kubelwagen already. Yeah. I think he saw the Kubelwagen in mid, so that'll be why that's on the queue. Bit of a fight being set up here. Storm Pioneer is going to come around, and see, if these Storm Pioneers really want to stay put, I don't like trying to approach this building with this many conscripts in. Oh, they're going to go for it, but I just don't like this at all. Like, this is just not optimal use of... look, see, they're just getting picked down, and remember what I was saying about how valuable they are and how much veterancy they feed away. Like, they are just going to have to fall back here. These guys have achieved almost nothing and are going to have to fall back. So, sub-optimal to say the least there with those Storm Pioneers. Possibly PGA could use a little bit more, I don't know, like refinement with his use of Storm Pioneers, I guess. Maybe I'm being overly critical, I'm not sure, but that just seems really suboptimal for like what is like, a very 360 manpower is a big squad, you know what I mean? It can have a big impact. Kubelwagen here gets tagged by an anti-vehicle grenade, and that will be going down here momentarily. How is this not dead? There we go. Yeah, you can get a lot of value out of your Storm Pioneers, you really can, especially in the early game, but it is very risky. You have to be very careful with them, and it seems like PanzerGrenadier, his like calibration with what's acceptable and what's not, and when to move in with them and when not to, is just a little bit off, according to me. I don't know, just doesn't quite seem to be using them as I would expect. That's all. So anyway, he's still doing okay, decent-ish map control, certainly on par with the Soviet player, capping up at home as well here as well. Here comes the Schwervermacht Schlepper, and we're going to be able to see what kind of tech PGA is going to be going for here. Judging by the positioning, he's going to drive it on over here, so it's probably going to be a Battle Gripper command. Battle Gripper HQ. Yeah, it has been chosen, so Battle Gripper HQ it is going to be. So we're going to have Ligs, flak, half tracks. Oh, pardon me. Oh, dearie me. So we're going to have Ligs, flak, half tracks, and the other... Oh, yeah, the other unit that thing builds, the Searchlight half track. Woo. So we're not going to have those. We're basically just going to have Ligs. But I suppose it also unlocks, grenades and MG34s and medics, and well, I suppose you have to buy the medics these days. But anyway, we're going to have a Battle Gripper HQ, is what I'm saying. A little exchange of fire here between Volks and conscripts. Additional Volks moving in. So this attempt on the cutoff point ought to be ended shortly here. It seems like I've been casting PanzerGrenadierAngeifen, getting harassed at this cutoff quite a lot recently when we think about it. But of course, you know, this is the optimum cutoff to attack. And to be honest, I really think that this cutoff is one of the reasons why Kolodny Farm is like one of the less well-balanced maps. Like, it's pretty close to central. This is not that hard for the west spawning player to attack. And like, there really isn't like... There really isn't a an equivalent point on the other half of the map for the east spawning player to harass. Like, yes, I know it's kind of technically this one, but like it's so easy for the other player to still have their fuel flowing even with this one capped. Like, you'll notice it, and it's also just like further back up against the edge of the map. It's further to go. It's like harder to access for the east spawning player. So I definitely think spawning in the west is the favourable spawn on this map. Like, definitely. Just I noticed like, with my own win rates, that I do much better spawning in the west. Kolodny Farm is probably a map that I must have like 500 reps on it or something stupid. Like, I don't even know. It's like, maybe it must be loads more than that actually. This is definitely my most played map. Well, it's definitely in my top 5 most played maps. Let's put it that way. Anyway. Additional fights here going to be taken in mid. Conscripts taking up a good position in a building. These conscripts looks like they're going to make it to the heavy cover. Incendiary comes down though. Nice timing on the building abandon there for Yoker. So he's going to have those conscripts not really having to be dealt very much damage. We're going to have a flak half-track play here out of Angeifen, who's not quite spending... I would expect him to have another squad right now. I know he lost the Kugelwagen, but I would expect him still to have one more squad. Up against 5 squads of conscripts right now. So he's going to go for an MG34. I like this a lot. If you can get the MG34 into the church or just anywhere around, basically, where it's going to be useful, then that'll be awesome. You know, MGs have long been a decent counter to mass conscript strategies, so I anticipate this MG34 to do quite well. Now, there are no buildings so far placed by Yoker, and he has gone for Lend-lease tactics, so I wonder if he's going to try and play some low-tech or even extreme techless build using the Lend-lease commander. This is still one of the pokier commanders, still one of the ones that I like to keep on my roster, and just a really good one. He's going to have access to the Dansak spicy machine gun, and if we see those getting mixed in here, yep, we will. So here comes that first one now. It's going to be moving on in, and we're going to have to see what's going to happen. Flak half-track rolls up, but this unit is just... I'm just so underwhelmed with flak half-tracks, you know? Like, they're so fragile, they're not cheap, and like, even against their premium targets, they have to like sit here. If these were conscripts, that would have been AT grenaded, and then suddenly you'll have flak half-tracks in jeopardy against the very unit it's supposed to counter. Like, you know, I just don't like the flak half-track at the moment. Every time I use one, it's always like a disappointment. Like, and they're so hard to vet up for some reason. I just feel like they never reach Veterancy 2 or 3, like, almost ever. And, you know, it's a lucky game when you get into Veterancy 1. I don't know, maybe I'm just sour about flag half-tracks at the moment. Maybe everyone else is just rocking with them, but, I mean, somebody tell me that this is a good unit. Somebody argue for this unit, and I will listen. But for now, I am not building flak half-tracks. Just like I'm not building light guns unless I actually feel like I'm going to die if I don't. And I'm not building like searchlight half-tracks because they're terrible. Just terrible. There's a lot of units for the OKW right now that I just think aren't very good, secretly. In fact, you know what? It's not a secret. Anyway, Dansak Spicy Machine Gun here is actually getting hewn into by some STG Volks at good range. So, actually taking quite a lot of damage. Going to use, what is this, AP ammo? Yeah, AP ammo. Oh, this Volks Grenadier is going to escape for now. The DPS on a Dansak Machine Gun, by the way, is scary. Even more so when it engages that AP ammo. Like, so many times playing as Vermax, I've just, like, lost a Grenadier from the first spray from a Dansak. You know, full health 4-man Grenadier squad, and you see there's like da-da-da-da-da, and then you look at them, there's like 3 men and like 1 down, and they're sort of like getting suppressed, and it's bad times. So this is definitely a potent piece. I do like the Dansak a lot. And on the rare occasions, whereas the Axis player I managed to steal one, oh god, I feel so good. Like, so good. It's like that feeling you get when you like wipe and steal a Maxim, only like much betterer. I love it. Anyway, flak half-track here going to be rolling on into mid, and it's going to be policing this area of the map. Forces a couple of fallbacks as well, which is quite nice. Getting some damage dealt. Let's check the veterancy here. Okay, 2 kills and about, you know, a third of a level of veterancy, so not doing terribly by any means. Definitely, like, you know, functioning as a unit for now. And I tell you what, actually, against a techless strat, which... Okay, no, he has actually... Okay, yeah. I think if you're going to play techless, like, that's just unnecessarily risky and quite stupid. I mean, it sounds sexy, like, yeah, I didn't build a single tech building, and like, yeah, whatever. But, I mean, the support weapon Campanile is super cheap, and it gives you, like, great units that complement this roster. Yes, the Maxim's a bit obsolete when you have the Dansak, but the Mortar and the Zis gun are just totes worth it. So, yeah. to that end, we're going to see a Zis gun, and it's going to be finishing here momentarily. And like once the Zis gun is done, like what does the flak half track actually achieve? Like, well, we'll see, but I suspect not a lot. So yeah, I do like it from Yoker. I think, like I say before, trying to play pure techless is like kind of stupid, to be honest. I think that's just bad. I think you should always build a support weapon Campanile, just because the Zis gun and the mortar tube are really good. And without that Zis gun, like, what are you really doing against your opponent's tanks? Like, calling in guards with a half tracks at 5 CP and trying to ping them down with AT grenades off your conscripts? It's like, I don't really like trying to do that. I mean, even the AP ammo on the Dansak doesn't really tickle a proper tank. Like, not even a Luke's well, I don't know, actually. That's what I'd like to see. It's been a long time since I've seen the AP ammo hit a Luke's. It'd be nice to see what happens there. These Volks have got no business staying here. I mean, I get that they're trying to deny the fuel here, but they're just trading here against, like, 3 times their number of conscripts. It's going to be horrible. They're going to try and fall back here, but they're being pursued, actually, and they're getting slowed down a bit, so danger of a wipe here. Any other squads? No. Okay, so, okay, no danger of a wipe. They're going to be okay. Flak half-track going to transition into this area of the map. Additional pressure is being applied. Looks like we've got an MG off in mid, but a Dansak just wins against an MG34 in every possible way imaginable. So that MG34 has to give way there. Kettenwerfer mixed into the roster here for Angeifen, which I do like. I mean, all he knows so far is that it's a Dansak, which, you know, doesn't actually necessarily tell him that it's this commander. I mean, it could be the the defense guy who has like really low command point requirements on all his abilities. God damn, what is that guy's name? Yeah, he was the community commander. Ugh, I can't remember. Anyway, whatever. So it could still be that commander. But yeah, normally when you see Dansaks, you got to think it's Lend-lease, unless you know, until proven otherwise. So I guess the Kettenwerfer here coming on out just to maybe ping off a half track or anything like that. It's unlikely that we'll see a T70 this game. Heavily unlikely. And indeed, there's no tech structure for that, which PanzerGrenadierAngeifen hasn't had a chance to scout. And I suppose if you don't scout and then a T70 rolls up, then that's really bad, especially if you have a flak half track on the field. Which, oh my god, so how is the flak half track like still actually being useful? Angeifen here using it really nicely, actually. Again, find some engineers. They don't have the AT grenade, so these engineers like have to go now. They have to fall back. There's no recourse there for the Soviet player to do anything else except get out. Storm Pioneers looks like they're going to hook up with the flak half track and repair it here. Also Panzerschreck appearing on that unit, so adding in a little bit more AT versatility into his lineup here is Angeifen, and I feel like so far the game's going okay. You know, he's well ahead, actually ahead by like way more than I thought is Angeifen. He's like leading by 120 odd tickets, 122 right now. It's pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I like the position so far from Angeifen. I think somehow he's manoeuvred this game into a reasonable place, even though he's using a flak half track, which still in my mind is just a tremendous waste of money. BT dubs, you know, demo charges beginning to appear, and that is just, you know, because okay, he does actually even have a metal detector. He has a metal detector in the hood. Is he going to see it? Oh, he sees it and shoots it. Fantastic work there from Angeifen. Damn, it is rare days when I see a demo charge not wipe an Axis squad. It feels like every demo charge ever laid by Soviets on a capture point causes an Axis squad wipe, even in the top level games that I cast. But Angeifen here, bucking the trend, gets a metal detector in the right place, and remembers that you should shoot that thing, not try and defuse it, because otherwise you're just giving your squad away again. Anyway, Volksgrenadiers here in mid, trading a negative cover. I would like it if they would just pull back to the building or even there. Yeah, it looks like they're going to fall back. Do we have medics? We must have medics. Medics are indeed in place in the base, healing the faces of these Volksgrenadiers. And it looks like the Soviet player actually making a determined push at the north of the map. We're going to be grabbing mid as well, so I guess once he grabs this VP, which I'm hoping will be momentarily, then the pressure will be off him, because Yoker right now, I'm loving his style, I'm loving the Lend-lease pick, I'm loving the amount of resources he has stashed up. There's going to be a ton of Shermans arriving later. It's looking good. I would actually quite like him to go for the M5 half-track assault group. I'm hoping that's what he's saving for here, simply because guards are really nice, and I think the guards you get from here have SMGs, right? Yeah. So, you know, they're pretty spicy. The half track is also useful. You know, you can put the quad mount on if you're feeling it, or you can use it as a mobile reinforcing point, which I think is underutilized. Yes, I know it's not great, but I still quite like using half tracks for reinforcing. I think it lets you like have a lot more pressure and a lot more momentum and a lot more dynamism with any offense. Like if you are on the attack, having a half track that can reinforce can turn a great attack into a game-winning push like really easily, and I like having that option. I just do. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, so the Soviet player, as I said, his push into the sort of north of the map, looking pretty conclusive. There are some shoe mines here which have been detected. Actually, I'd love to see Yoker here just like defuse those mines. Looks like the Kettenwerfer here, I totally missed when that, I guess that got killed here recently, and then the Soviet player remanned it, and then it got, like, the crew were gunned down. So there is a Kettenwerfer up for grabs in mid. This flak half-track, I mean, going on to prove me wrong here. Looking okay, has 11 kills, a star of veterancy, which means it has the free smoke ability. And that is everything. That is night and day for that unit. Once it has the free smoke, it's like, then you're in business. Like, then it's not awful. And, like, you know, testament to that, the balance change mod mooted. Oh my god, you need to fall this back, bro. Or at least start creeping it out of there. Yeah, the balance change mod that's being like worked on by GG the Machine, Mirage, Flower, and Co. Oh, nice squad wipe here. Those Storm Pioneers in the right place at the right time to catch some conscripts, and that's big. In fact, Angeifen here just taking a fantastic fight. So I'm going to talk about this instead of what I was. Yeah, pushing in from multiple angles with a good amount of Axis firepower here. Volks Grenadiers cleaning house in the north. Only one squad of conscripts remaining up here, which I believe the Volks could probably take if they wanted to. And Angeifen here flexing his muscles rather nicely, going for like field domination at the moment. Now we could see the half-track come in, or Yoker may decide to save those resources for Shermans, which he's like only like 1 and a bit CPs away from right now. A light gun also added in for Angeifen is applying additional pressure to these hard points. Seen a couple of hits, okay, 1 hit already, getting a dude and some veterancy. You know, not terrible stuff there. Looks like he's going to try and focus this building down a little bit. But as I was saying before that, you know, this phase of action began, and it was so rudely interrupted me. God damn you players, can you not just be quiet whilst I'm trying to talk about something else? Honestly, sigh, Tusk. But yeah, seriously, GG the Machine, Mirage, Flower, and Co. working on the upcoming patches. One of the changes that they've made to the flak half track is the availability of smoke from Vet 0, but now it has a munitions cost, and then at Vet 1 the munitions cost is like substantially reduced, but it still has a munitions cost. And I think that that's all great. That sounds great. Like, it's incongruous with the rest of the game's design that smoke is free. Like, smoke on vehicles just isn't free in this game. Like, and so it feels weird that it is on one unit, just like weirdly. So I like that, and I also like giving it smoke from Vet 0. Like, and they also have given it like some buffs to damage against garrisoned units, thereby giving OKW another tool to help them deal with MGs in garrisons in the sort of reasonably early game. So, like, just clever stuff there from GG and Mirage Flyer and everyone else, still doing a heroic job with this with balancing of this game, which is no easy thing to do. Absolutely not. This is like one of the most complicated RTSs to balance, I would say. Anyway, so let's take a look at the scoreline here. Angeifen leading by a solid, say, 259, like about 250 tickets, like at least here, which is very nice. Yeah, 269 now. So Angeifen here looking to close this one out in good order, and I kind of feel for Yoker. Like, he seems to have played a decent game, mixing in a mortar as well, and I like all the decisions he's made. Like, the Zis arrived at the right time, the mortar is here as well. I like this a lot. He lost a squad of conscripts earlier, which sucked, but his others are like still on 2 stars of vet and looking okay, taking fights out on the map. Like, it is hard relying on this conscript style. Conscripts, especially with no upgrades, I mean, you know, no commander-specific upgrade. Like, conscripts without PPSHs, conscripts without repairs and stuff like that. They can feel very hard to use. They can feel very ineffective against Axis units. But Yoker continuing to get damage done, continuing to use those units, and now begins to add in the Shermans. So now we're going to have to see how PanzerGrenadierAngeifen is going to be able to deal with this. Now he has 2 Rakettenwerfers. That light gun just masquerading as a 3rd Rakettenwerfer there, but I know the difference. So yeah, Kettenwerfers at the moment are in a sort of a defensive position back here. Now I wonder if he's going to feel tempted to try and move those up, or if he's going to wait for the Sherman to try and commit in here. He knows for sure now what he's up against. 2nd Sherman's on the field now, and this is the cool thing about this commander. You know, once you hit 10 CPs, you can start flooding the field with Shermans. And these are the M4C Shermans, which honestly, like, they're probably not as good as a regular Sherman, but only because you can't take the crew in and out. Like, the gun on this thing is just, like, pretty good. It's like a lovely hybrid of the AP and the HE shell off of the regular Sherman, giving them, like, spicy damage. Kind of think of them like Panzer IVs or T-34s that are just kind of better. And also, of course, they can take their .50, you know, the 50 cal pintle-mounted upgrade, which is, like, you know, that is quite spicy. That does substantially boost their DPS and the rate at which they vet up. So, you know, a worthy upgrade. Going to come in and ram this building to do some damage here. MG is going to reposition out of there, which is going to enable Yoker here to take the middle VP and stop the bleed, which he desperately needs to do, of course. That is, that's really relevant here. Mortar in a good position, Zis gun in a reasonable position, Dansak's in good positions. Like, I'm liking the setup here from Yoker. I wish he could flex his muscles a bit in the south of the map, though, because I feel like this area has just not been threatened at all. Actually, it looks like a Schwer Panzer HQ getting set up here as well to cover the cutoff point here by Angreifen very nicely. Now let's look at his fuel. Angreifen actually up to 260 fuel. That is a lot of fuel. I'm guessing he just needs the manpower to go for a Panther, or because a Panther, by the way, is like a pretty sound answer to M4C Sherman spam. As long as you look after that Panther and don't let it get bogged down or swamped or outflanked or anything. So I think a Panther is a smart choice. A Yagdi is also a feasible choice. You could also, you could get 2 Yagdis for this fuel as well, which is like stupid overkill. Never get 2 Yagdis in this situation, but I'm just saying it's cheaper. So a Yagdi is reasonable. I mean, he's not going to go for a KT, is he? Let's just hope he's not going for a KT. He doesn't have his there's no Schwervermax Schlepper on the queue right now, which makes me think he's not going for KT. Like, I just hope he's not. He has Panther money now, though, and he's not clicking that button. What are they? 490 manpower. Yeah. So, yeah, he's got Panther money. I'd love to see, like, Panther money becoming Panther reality right now. That would make me very happy. Okay, he's going for Special Operations Doctrine. So we could even have a Panzer Command Tank. Panther Command Tank. I think an armored choice at some point. Angreifen, surely spend some money, man. Like, it does nothing for you. Bank down here. I mean, numbers are lovely to look at, but that is about it. Like, you have to spend that money to have an in-game benefit. So I would like him to spend those resources. Because, I mean, his opponent's got 2 M4C Shermans. I mean, yeah, he's holding them off with Kettenwerfers, but I feel like it doesn't take much for this situation to spiral out of control and for the Soviet player to start doing well. I mean, look, now finally the south of the map, which has been the Axis stronghold, is now being claimed, and now the Panther Command Tank comes out. So, I mean, if you were going to go for a Panther Command Tank, why build the Schwer Panzer HQ? I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping his next pick is going to be Obersoldaten, because that would be spicy AF. Like, oh my god, this Flak Half-Track doing a great job of shooting up these Volksgrenadiers. By the way, this Flak Half-Track, since last time we saw it in the south of the map, like corralling engineers, has done like no damage, and just basically been useless. Anyway, here comes the Panther Command Tank, pintle-mounted MG42, well on the way to being completed there, so that will be very good for PGA. Now, the Panther Command Tank is one of those units that, like, its scaling with veterancy is just, like, intense. Like, if it starts vetting up, like, not only does it get a whole ton better, but your whole army does too. So, liking the pick of the pintle mount upgrade here just for pure veterancy. The fact that it kills your opponent is like an incidental but useful benefit. So, yeah. M4C's in mid here, being kept at bay by the double Kettenwerfer, and I would love some more indirect fire here for the Soviet player. The weapon teams of the Axis are actually giving Yoker a really hard time right now. So I would really like to see him, I don't know, like, he can't go for a Katusha, but a mortar or a couple more mortars would be really nice. Like, how much unit cap is he up to, actually? Okay, 84, so he can fit another couple of units. Flak Half-Track's going to roll up into mid. I like this position, nice and far back. Going to utilize its range and suppression to protect the middle VP here. Panther Command Tank taking a pretty sweet fight against an M4C Sherman, but it does get acquired by a Zisgun here. Infantry group are lost. That was some Volksgrenadiers going down somewhere. So, a shame there for Angreifen, because all of his Volks had decent veterancy. So that is, not an inconsequential blow. I would love him to, like, there we go. I was going to say, I'd love him to toggle the focus. Oh yeah, because pintle mounts, they just fire at infantry now, even if you're on prioritized vehicles, right? I think that's still true. Ah, Rakettenwerfer gets taken out by creeping... Sorry, M4C Sherman gets taken out by creeping Rakettenwerfers. And Greifen, you monster. Loving it. Loving it. That was sweet. Really like it. So he gets the M4C Sherman there. The other one is, like, crippled, I think, following an encounter with some mines or something? I'm following its tracks here, and I don't see where that one got crippled, but anyway, that's been happening. Geez, Magpie, do pay attention. Another Schwervermax Schlepper coming here, so it looks like Angreifen looking to expand his tech to cover everything. I think if you've just lost a squad of Volks, like, I love going for Obersoldaten here. I really do. I think that's got to be the money choice here. I suppose alternatively, time is on your side. You could sit back and just get a KT here. And I think with the Command Panther out, the KT actually starts looking a bit appealing, which I hardly ever say. Oh, possibility for a wipe. Probability for a wipe here on these conscripts, as they're going to run straight past a Flak Half-Track that is deployed, and then through the arc of an MG34 whilst running past a Panther Command Tank. Never where you want to be as a conscript. And that core squad will go down here for the Soviet player, who doesn't have all the money in the world to be replacing these units. Like, the peak of his strength, I feel like he has been reached, and he's now bleeding out in terms of units. He's lost a Sherman. He doesn't have 2 of them. He's losing conscript squads. Gonna bring in another Sherman. Well, all right. I mean, I don't mind this, but you have to suspect that your Axis opponent, who, okay, he doesn't have that much map control right now, but it does still have fuel point. You have to expect that he's going to have, like, I just don't see that the M4C Sherman is that great. Like, in Angreifen's credit, you know, he prepared for this so well with the double Kettenwerfer and the Panther being out a little late, but still with okay timing. And I just don't think M4C Shermans really affect this board that much. I mean, they're okay, but you have to take quite a good fight to get this Panther, like, a really good fight. And I just don't think he has the ingredients to set that up right now. I mean, what... Is he praying for, like, some Hail Mary mines or some Hail Mary AT grenade? Like, I don't know. Barring that, and that can happen, I just don't see how an M4C really changes the equation of this battle very much. Weirdly, and I know this sounds horrible, but I kind of think he needs a Katusha, which is terrible because that means, like, you have to tech up, but I don't know. I still think I prefer that over buying more M4Cs, although, you know what, that M4C just got a solid penetrating hit through the front of this Panther, so maybe I'm underestimating just how good these M4Cs are, actually. We'll see. We'll see. Couple of Zis guns and Danzak. Looks like a lot of weapon teams heading on up to the north of the map here. There are some Storm Pioneers up here who are probably just going to get repulsed instantly. The Danzak will do that to you. Oh, man, they rinsed those engineers, though. And I would still love Angreifen to get some Oversold out. Uh-oh. Okay, double Zis guns managed to acquire the Panther here. And now if the M4Cs roll up into town, they are in the right area of the map, although wasting their time right now with some Storm Pioneers. I suppose they have to be removed because they do have a Shrek. Looks like Angreifen, realizing the peril here, going to just run the hell away. He wants nothing more to do with that situation with his Command Panther, and that makes all the sense in the world. I do like that a lot. MG34 still garrisoning the mid-VP, which is what Angreifen needs. I mean, he is bleeding out, but very slowly here, and he still has a comfortable lead right now. So as long as he just takes his time and doesn't hemorrhage any important squads, which is every single squad when you're playing as OKW, then... Have I just cursed him? Was that the caster curse? Is he going to lose these guys? Nah, he won't. But yeah, I think as long as he doesn't lose anything like too super valuable, he'll be okay. And it looks like this half-track is going to transition down to the south to try and deal with this Danzak team. I guess I like that. 5-star Volks beginning to pop up. Always a nice thing for the OKW player when you manage to get Volks to 5-star. Gone are the days when that was pretty easy to do with the Shrek upgrade and the lower Volks vet requirements. MG34 here, almost certain to, yes, get wiped. M4C Sherman's pretty good against machine gun teams. So that's going to go down, and that's kind of important. That was giving Angreifen a lot of say-so over who took mid. And without that, he could get triple capped, and a triple cap is how he loses this game. Like, he's so far ahead in terms of tickets. Like, I still feel like even bleeding at 1 per tick, like, he's kind of okay. But if he gets triple capped, and that, you know, we're seconds away from seeing that here, that's turbo bad news. Now, is the Panther command tank repaired? It is, and that is essential. That's coming back out now. Looks like we got the mechanized regiment coming down as a forward repair point here, so that's going to be usable. I would love it if PGA would spice in a Stuka-Zafus right now, you know, a Werferman rocket launcher. That would actually make me quite excited. Because, like, the main reason this Panther is having its effectiveness curtailed is because of the 2 Zis guns, and the 2 Zis guns do rather poorly against a Stuka-Zafus, so... I think I quite like that. Here comes, what is this, a 3rd Sherman? Ooh, okay, with 3 Shermans, this Panther command tank starts looking a little bit precarious, I'll be honest. Because the DPS and the maneuverability and the sort of, like, concave or like, angles of attack that you can get with 3 Shermans actually make a Panther look a little bit... risky. Uh-oh, some conscripts going to oorah in here. Here comes the AT grenade. Now, it won't get the engine brake because the full health was on that Panther. But, what the... How did... I just... Was that the... okay, so these Kettenwerfers totally just killed that M4C Sherman, which I just totally missed. Awesome! Man. God damn, I am just not having a very attentive day for casting right now. I guess my mind is racing away on a billion other things in the background. So, okay, Flak Half-Track actually providing some additional value, going to mow down this mortar squad who ought to actually be mowed down, right? Somebody please kill these guys. Yeah, there they go. So that's nice for Angreifen, and it's going to mean that he can grab mid and put the pressure back on his opponent, I think, here. 2 of the M4Cs are still, like, alive, but they're both wounded and in need of some repairs. The Panther command tank looking fine. Oh, he's going for another Panther tank. Angreifen, you're a bad, bad man, but I like it. I think another Panther tank just shuts the door so hard on this commander. Like, no amount of M4C Shermans is going to beat a Panther and a Panther command tank. Like, I just can't see the fight where that happens unless something goes, like, spectacularly wrong for Angeifen. So, you have to see. The Soviet player is looking like he wants to try and get stuck in a little bit here. He knows he has to take mid. Whoa, he doesn't even control north. Uh-oh, bit of an error here from Yoker. Doesn't actually control that VP right now. I mean, maybe that was just decapped and then both forces had to fall back or something, but for whatever reason, that's not capped. Okay, so he does immediately task an MG34 squad onto that, which is, like, essential. So I do like that. Yoker's going to grab that one back, but, I mean, in the meantime, he's been bled down to 109, and he needs more time. Like, I can't help but feel he needs more time. I also can't help but feel his plan here, which was the Lend-lease doctrine, has kind of failed. Because, like, the game's gone on long enough now that Angeifen has 2 Panthers. Oh, wait, what? He cancelled one? Yeah, it looks like he's going for the KT then. I mean, fair enough, whatever, go for the KT, that's fine as well. Okay, so Command Panther gets spotted by 2 Zissers, but PGA spots that, gets the Command Panther out of there, and I gotta say, I mean, PGA is on form this game, isn't it? Isn't he? I don't want to, like, jinx this before it's over, but, I mean, this has been quite a good game from PGA. Like, he's been juggling a lot of things up against a, you know, a Soviet opponent here who's been using Dansaks, conscripts, you know, quite effectively. The Ziss guns have been good, the mortar tube was good. Like, I like all the decisions the Soviet player made, even if I feel like, on average, the Lend-lease style is not so great on this map, or it's just... I don't know, maybe the age of Lend-lease being decent is over, I don't know. I think if you don't break your opponent with your, like, opening wave of Shermans, or at least do grievous damage, then you're in a tough spot with Lend-lease, and that's where Yoker finds himself right now. Like, I just didn't feel like those M4C Shermans ever managed to, like, overrun in for good squad wipes, or overrun in for good, you know, picking off a tech building, or picking off a tank, or something like that. It just didn't happen this game for Yoker. I guess he had to respect the Kettenwerfers, but there was a window here where I think he should have tried to get more done, I guess. I mean, it's easy for me to say with, like, 20/20 hindsight and caster vision here, but... Anyway, Molotov going to find these Volksgrenadiers for some grievous burning. Flak half-track going to relocate over to this part of the map. Going to grab itself its 2nd star of veterancy here in just a second. Do, and there we go. So what does that actually even give it? Decreases the setup time and enables the crew to track targets. Well, that sounds fine. That all sounds very good. Oh, KT is good, so here it comes. Whoa, lovely camo on that. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I just really like that. I don't think I've ever seen that camo. What? That's awesome. Alright, so KT's going to get stuck in. That will be enough, I would have thought, to, like, solo marshal the north of the map. Command Panther's going to get a little bit greedy here. Coming forward quite far. Gets pinged down badly by the Shermans, and the 2 Ziss guns here. Gonna try and get some shots as it falls back across mid, and this could be a Command Panther down. Smoke gets popped, though, off of the half-track, and that was a sweet save. I did like that. I really did quite like that. Combat Blitz used as well to retrieve that unit, so that's all very tasty. King Tiger kills the machine gun up in north, which is really nice for Angeifen. If he can get some squads up there to cap that point, that would be amazing. And now the KT is a little exposed, actually. Unsupported, more or less. I mean, there are some Storm Pioneers here, but, you know, if this KT gets beset upon by 2 Zissers and 2 M4C Shermans, you know, it could die, and that represents, like, a lot of Angeifen's fuel this game that he's had, so that's not what he wants. Has he not got the engineers on this? I think he's just realised that as well. So, yeah, the Command Panther just pulling up to find not many engineers here, so it looks like he's going to repair it with Storm Pioneers for now. That's fine. You know, that's not really... I don't think that's going to cost him a lot in this game. Man, the range on that Tiger. I know it was buffed a few patches ago. It's just interesting seeing it expressed here. That's like quite some range. Oh, both Ziss guns managed to find a penetrating hit there on the KT, and that's going to beef up their veterancy considerably, and that's going to be really important here. He's also got a Kettenwerfer, actually, so there are quite a lot of AT tools here for Yoker to work with. I do like the AT roster. And he's going to need it, though, because he's up against a KT and a Panther command tank here, which is, like, rough, to say the least. Volksgrenadier is going to try and cap mid. They are presently assembling some sandbags, which is horrible for them, and they're in negative cover, which means that this Dansak is going to be extra spicy with chili there. And yeah, they're going to be pushed back immediately. He does grab the north, of course, to Angeifen. Got a lot of squads up here doing their thing. Going to be repairing the KT in situ here, which I also like. Keep that thing rolling, keep it being aggressive here. The cheeky Kettenwerfer going to prevent the cap here. Oh, no. Oh, Angreifen, what are you like? This is a dick move. Love it. Love it. Also in the south, looks like the Storm Pioneer's rocking up here, and the pressure, like the noose just tightening more and more here for Yoker. And I feel like if he just tried to play a regular game with, like, I don't know, guard motor coordination or, you know, to take your pick, anyone but Lend-lease, I think he would have been fine, but Angreifen just had his number here. Lend-lease just, like, is something that Angreifen can deal with, it seems. I mean, this has just been a reasonably confident game. I mean, he lost a Kugelwagen, he's lost the Rakettenwerfer MG, he's lost a squad of Volks here and there, but I think that's totally acceptable, and I don't feel like he made any spectacular blunders with those units, you know. And Yoker, I feel like Yoker as well also hasn't like made any spectacular blunders. I guess losing a couple of his M4C Shermans to carelessly to Rakettenwerfers, that's actually very costly now I think about it. Losing some more conscripts there somewhere on the map as well. But yeah, I think he's played well. I just think I feel like he's just been limited by Lend-lease on this map.
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like here for Yoker. I mean, it's a risk, isn't it? That's the thing with Lend-lease. It's a risk. Lend-lease offers you a lot, but it also closes a lot of doors. So obviously it would be broken AF if it was just really, really good every game. So this is cool. You know, Lend-lease here is getting beaten in good style here. Now a triple cap established, which means that we have less than a minute left here for Yoker if he's unable to grab a VP back. And to be honest, with KT guarding the northern VP, what's guarding mid here? Some Volks and a flak half track with a camo Rakettenwerfer. Like this forced distribution here actually by Angreifen, very nice, leaving no real openings for the Soviet player to grab a VP here. Oh, the Volks get tempted to come forward and grab another Kettenwerfer. That could be punished here maybe, as some conscripts going to get up on top of this middle VP here. But I mean the flak half track is here. I mean they're never going to be able to complete that cap, not with a flak half track chutting at them. And here comes the Command Panther as well to push those guys back. Nothing anywhere close to threatening up in the north. Angreifen happy to sit back even with the KT, which I do like. Too many players too tempted to be too aggressive with the KT, leading to too many KTs getting blown up for very, very little returns. So I do like the defensive KT here. Oh, just as I say that, he decides to like roll straight into 3 M4C Shermans. Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter what with this game looking as over as it is. Let's see what happens with this tank fight here, actually. The M4C is desperately trying to get around the sides and rear of the lumbering big cat here. An MG34 going to be clinking in hopelessly. A good amount of penetrating hits, though, and I believe the big cat will probably just die here. Which, you know, not going to be enough to save Yoker. I think that was a moral kill, a moral victory over that KT. I think we can award him that kill. I can't see this KT ever escaping that. So at least he was able to execute a KT kill here, was Yoker. And, you know, I think he played a reasonable game. I just think, like I say, I think he was limited by the Lend-lease commander here. I think he could have benefited a lot from a Katusha in this game. There was a window here where he had an M4C, which I realized he couldn't have had without this commander. And Angreifen's only AT was like Volks and 2 Rakettenwerfers, I think it was. I think maybe it was 2 M4Cs at that point in the game. Can't remember very well. Anyway. And I feel like he could have gotten, like, he could have forced that window. He could have exploited that, like, edge he had over Angreifen at that timing in the game. And a Katusha would have just shut the door. But there was no recourse to get a Katusha because, of course, there was no tech. Well, I mean, there was a support weapon Kempenaya, but that hardly counts. So, yeah, a good game here from both players. Absolutely. A pleasure to cast. That was just a good one. And nice to see Angreifen, for once, firing on all cylinders. I feel like the last few games of his I've cast, like, he hasn't actually been, like, on 100% form. But this game, I mean, like, he didn't make very many mistakes. He lost the Kugelwagen. Okay, that happens. That often happens early. I mean, you just have to accept sometimes your Kubel's going down for not much return. He also lost a squad of Volks and, you know, a couple of Rakettenwerfers here and there, MG34, but didn't drop a single real fuel-costing unit. Even the flag half-track, going on to make me eat my words. 26 kills, 2 stars of veterancy. You know, that was a fine choice and useful. There was a phase of, like, 10 or so minutes where I felt like he forgot he had it or something. But I liked the way most of the game, how he was using it as a responder. Keeping it back and then responding to his opponent's infantry that was attempting to cap or threaten mid or south was just really nice, using it to police those infantry. And, you know, it stayed alive, being profitable, getting kills that whole game. And then towards, you know, in the late game, it was just able to use its range and hitting power and suppression to totally lock down the middle VP, which is absolutely acceptable. And Angreifen's endgame, where he had KT in north, responder half-track, garrisoning mid, but able to quickly get to south with a number of supporting units. You know, he had Rakettenwerfers, MG SMGs all over the place, making it very hard for the Soviet player to access any of the VPs is a very nice way to end the game. So I do like that. Congratulations to PanzerGrenadierAngeifen here on a very well-earned win. And that will conclude this video. Thank you very much for watching. We might have some spicy content coming up this week, actually. I'm going to be really cryptic and leave it at that, but I think maybe something new, which has been way too long since that happened on this channel. So, yeah, something new could be happening this week. Maybe on Thursday, indeed. Dun, dun, dun. But yeah, this for now is Magpie842 signing out.